Welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality, where we talk about different philosophical perspectives as well as spiritual practices. And in this video, we're going to be once again talking about the temptations, mainly lust, okay? Mainly lust. And we're going to talk about what having a control over it, okay, what having mindfulness over it can do for you, okay, and not only that, but why it is important, okay. I do want to say, when it comes to getting rid of the temptations, and let me not just say getting rid of the temptations, but when it comes to having a type of sense of what your temptations are, okay, what the temptations are and how they can affect you in your daily life and your day to day is very important, okay. So when it comes to dealing with temptations, especially things like lust, that's just one of them, and that's just a very powerful one, especially in society with smartphones and things like that, where it's very easy to search up videos of things you want to see. It's very easy to see a picture of a woman that you want to see. It's very easy to engage in these lustful activities, and you may not even be aware of it. Okay, one second you're just watching a video, and then the next second now you're having these thoughts into your head, and you're wondering, okay, well, how did we get here? It happens very quickly, okay? So it's very important to have an awareness of this, okay? Lust is the main one that I like to focus on, because lust is something that brings a lot of men down. Lust is something that brings a lot of people down, okay? Lust is something that will derail a lot of people, okay? Some people are doing good, some people are focused, then they get to lusting, and then they lose their focus. Then they lose whatever they were, had their mind set on, okay, whatever their goal was. Now they're losing that because of lust, okay. And there are other temptations, okay. The drinking, smoking, things like lying, deceit, those are just as great, okay. Lust is very important, and that does derail a lot of men out there, but there are other things out there. Lying, deceit, gossip, all that type of stuff falls within the temptations, okay. So lust, okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about it, okay. If you're watching this, if you're listening, and you don't have an idea about what lust is, then perfect, okay. So what is lust? Well, lust is that feeling, okay? It's that type of sexual energy. It's that type of feeling you get to please yourself in whatever way that is. So maybe you're hanging out, okay, and you see a nice looking woman, okay? And instead of having self-control, now you're lusting, okay? So now your lustful thoughts take over. And instead of being able to appreciate the moment, instead of being able to really just, be there in that moment for what it is, okay? Now you're trying to think about, how can I get into this woman's pants, okay? How can I, take advantage of this situation to get a desired outcome for me? So now that I can, fulfill myself and my desires, okay? So it can really take you out of the moment, and it can make you lose focus, and maybe you will just miss things that could really help you in a situation because you're not focused, okay? Because you're focused on different things. You're focused on lust, and you're subtracting from your plus. Once again, you're focused on lust, and now you're subtracting from your plus, okay? So that's why it's important to really have that in control. And especially in the society we're in today, a lot of times the popular thing is not the right thing. I'm gonna say that again. A lot of times the popular thing is not the right thing. And when I say that, I'm just saying the thing that's promoted. For me personally, the right thing is the popular thing for me personally, but I can't speak for everybody. But once again, for me personally, the popular thing is the right thing for me personally. I can't speak for everybody. But in the society that we live in today, especially with smartphones and people following the latest trends and fashions and things like that, the things that are pushed are not being, abstinent, not fornicating, okay, not practicing celibacy, okay, not spilling your seed, okay. Those are not the things that are in the mainstream media, okay. If anything, it's a lot of pills, okay. It's just tell you to take this pill, take that pill, okay. If you want to perform better in bed, okay. I'm literally getting ads on my phone. I don't even watch any videos like this on YouTube. I watch like video games and other people that gives some type of advice or something like that, entertainment, right? And then out of nowhere, I'm getting an ad on YouTube that's talking about some perform in bed, take this, sexual enhancement pill so you can last longer. What is going on here? Why is this on my phone right now? Like, I don't even get mad or anything. It's just like, okay, wow. So this is what the crowd is into, I guess. I don't know. But that's just one example right there. Okay, especially now, that's what's being pushed. Take these supplements, take these pills, take this drug, take this so you can perform better in bed. Why? I'm gonna ask you that right now. Why? Okay. Self-control goes a long way. A little self-control goes a long way. Okay. Don't let the lust have a hold of you. Have a hold of the lust. Have an idea of your lust. Have an idea of that sexual energy that's being cultivated inside of you. Stop spilling your seed. Okay. Stop spilling your seed. Okay. Post-nut clarity is there for a reason. Okay. Post-nut clarity happens for a reason. Okay. You get done sleeping with this woman. You get done watching this video. You get done whatever it is. Right. Spilling your seed. You're like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? Why would I, get rid of this vital life force, this life energy? So now you feel depleted, okay? There's a lot of things that go into it, okay? I'm not like a scientist or anything, but if you really want to get into it, there's research you can do out there, and it will tell you that there's a lot of things that actually go into your life force, that go into your seed, okay? It's not just a fluid, okay? There's things that go into it, and maintaining that within you can give you some energy, okay? I'm not saying it's gonna, make you a millionaire, okay? I'm not saying it's gonna turn you to a Super Saiyan. I'm not saying you're gonna be Superman, okay? But it will help you to focus on things. It will help you to stay focused and goal oriented in whatever it is that you're trying to get out of this life and whatever it is that you're trying to get out of life, okay? And you're a lot better off, maintaining your seed and not just spilling it for free than you are being out here with all these women and just sleeping around, okay? But that's not the popular thing. That's not what people want to hear. People want to hear, go out here, have your fun. You only live once, okay? Sleep with whatever woman you want, okay? Sleep with her, sleep with her, sleep with her. That's what people want to hear, okay? People want to hear, don't really think about it too much. Just go spill your seed. That's what people want to hear. People want to hear, yep, it's okay. You can sleep with her. What are you? Are you gay because you don't sleep around? That's what people want to hear. People would rather, make themselves feel comfortable doing the wrong thing than to accept that there are benefits you can get from doing the right thing. But at the end of the day, people are going to do what they do, okay? But I'm just saying, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, there's benefits that can be gained from holding on to that energy, okay? Not spilling your seed, okay? Instead of taking these supplements, taking these pills, and doing all this stuff, have some self-control. Self-control goes a long way, okay? A lot of stuff could be prevented if people were like, you know what? I'm going to live in accordance. I'm going to actually follow God, okay? And it's very simple, okay? What would God say? God would say, do the right thing. Well, what are the right things to do? Okay, well, retain your seed, not being out here sleeping around, okay? Be honest with yourself, so don't go lying to yourself. Don't gossip about yourself. Just be real with yourself, okay? And you know where you're lacking, okay? So just be better. That's what God would say, right? So at the end of the day, you could be better. You can be better, okay? But most people don't they don't hear that, okay? And part of it is because it's not easy, okay? Part of it is, the truth is, it's not easy, okay? It's way easier to just go out here and, be sleeping with anybody that wants to sleep around as well, to be giving into your temptations and drinking all the time and smoking all the time and things like that, okay? And I'm a younger guy, right? I'm 23 years old. So for me, I'm in that college age range. So, people in college, they definitely don't want to hear that. They just want to hear, I'm doing my schoolwork, I'm doing my classwork, and after that, if I want to go have a good time, I'm going to go have a good time. I'm not here to argue, okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to say to that. I'm not here to argue. Once again, people are going to do what they want to do. That's not the point here. The point is, there are benefits, okay? The point is, have some self-control, okay? The point is, speed your spirit and feed your soul, okay? That's the point that I'm just trying to make, okay? I'm not going to force anybody. I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything, okay? I'm just putting it out there, okay, that lusting is not, it's not advisable. Lusting is not the thing to do, okay? At the end of the day, if you want to talk about it, a lot of this stuff is games out here anyway, okay? Look, Silly Rabbit, tricks are for kids. I'm not trying to trick anybody, okay? I'm not trying to play games with anybody, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, that's what it is out here when people are busy lusting, okay? They go out here, they have a couple of drinks, okay? Now they don't think, okay? And now they're just out here talking to any girl, talking to any woman. They don't know where she's been. She doesn't know where he's been, okay? They want to sleep together. But, at the end of the day, I am a person that's about hey, if this person's for the streets and this person's sleeping around and this person's sleeping around, then you know what? I guess they just gonna sleep together. So if that's how it has to work, okay. But once again, for people out there that actually, want to have some discipline, okay, some discipline, okay, and don't want to be sleeping and looking at everything all lustfully, like, that moves and breathes, right, and has a pair of, some titties and some junk in the trunk, right? Then you're gonna have to have some self control. You're gonna have to do things that are not popular, okay, with the crowd. You're gonna have to do things that are not gonna be easy, okay. And what are those things that are not gonna be easy? You're gonna have to retain that seat, okay. You're gonna have to be out here. You're gonna have to tell them no, okay. Yeah, everybody wants to go out have a drink. You're gonna no, okay, because at the end of the day, you need to stay focused. At the end of the day, there are things that you're focused on that it is not worth, spilling your seed over, okay, at the end of the day. Why would you go out here? Ask yourself that. If you're focused on something, right, and let's say you're really into whatever it is that you're doing, a business or something, okay, or maybe an idea that you have, right, and you're making good progress, okay, why would you go out here and start sleeping around and potentially derail all that progress and all that focus for some pleasure, for some lust in a moment, okay? Just think about that, okay? Instead, maybe there's other things you could do, okay? Maybe meditate, okay? Maybe if there's books or some type of scriptures or some type of spiritual thing you do, then do that, okay, to overcome your urges, okay? Stretch, okay? Work out, okay? Whatever it is that you do to have to stay focused to make sure you don't go back and lose, your focus, right, and you subtract from your plus because you're giving into the lust. That's what you're gonna have to do, okay? Because at the end of the day, the temptations are there. At the end of the day, the temptations there will stare, okay? At the end of the day, the temptations are there. At the end of the day, the temptations, they stare, okay? That's what the temptations do. The temptations are waiting on you, okay? At the end of the day, the temptations are there. At the end of the day, the temptations stare. That's what the temptations do. At the end of the day, they're waiting on you, okay? That's what the temptations are there for. That's what they do, okay? But you can't go back, okay? And you need to have a type of control over these temptations, over lust, so you don't end up in a situation where you're subtracted from your plus. There's a lot of people out here, right, that like to compete with people. That's why on this channel I already have multiple videos that talk about this, okay, and I will have more videos that talk about this. Compete with yourself, okay? That will be one of the greatest competitions you enter, is the competition with yourself, because you'll realize there's things that you did not think were so difficult that can be difficult, and lust is one of those things, okay? The temptations are one of those things, okay? Why don't you challenge yourself? Put the drink down, put the blunt down, okay? Stop fornicating, okay? Stop out releasing your seed, okay? That'll be some of the most difficult things you ever do. I promise you that. It'll be some of the most difficult things you ever do. Stop lying. Stop gossiping. Some people just can't do it. Some people just can't do it, okay? Some people just cannot do it, okay? But be a person that can do it, okay? Because this is one of those challenges in life, okay? This is one of those challenges in life, okay? Think about it as like you're playing a game, right? And in the game, there's certain requirements to unlock some secret characters, okay? Like there's some characters you just unlock naturally by living life and doing your thing, okay? There's just some characteristics and some traits you unlock naturally, right? But then the ones that are really worthwhile, the characters that are like really good in the game, are ones you got to do these hard challenges for. They're the ones that you got to do a little extra work for, okay? But they're actually worthwhile. Think about, retaining your seed and not giving into temptations like that, okay? If you actually want to see benefits that are worthwhile, if you actually want to see progress that is actually beneficial to you in the long run, okay, then you're gonna have to do things that are not always the thing that seem popular in that moment, okay? And sleeping around is gonna be one of those things, okay? People are gonna be out there trying to tell you, hey, well, you just sleep around, man. It's okay, you just had to sleep with her, sleep with her. It's okay, it doesn't really matter. No, spirits do matter, okay? I ain't trying to get all that juju on me, okay? Like, look, okay? So you're going to have to start answering those questions for yourself, okay? Are you going to be a person out here that wants to be sleeping around? Are you going to be a person out here that wants to lose your connection, okay? That's something I really love right now. I don't know how long I'm going to be going with it, but right now I'm using it, okay? That I really like that Google connection. Are you going to be a person out here that's losing your Google Fiber? Are you going to be a person out here that is losing your LAN cable connection, okay? Nimble minds. Hey, nimble minds, what's up? Nimble minds, how can I help you? What do you mean by LAN cable connection? What do you mean by Google Fiber connection? How am I losing my LAN cable Google Fiber connection? Well, let me tell you this, okay? Everybody has a connection to the spirit, the source, okay? God, however you want to call it, okay? Whatever name you want to put to it, everybody has a connection to it. But there's people out here that are out here giving into temptation so often, that are out here giving into lust so often, that they're out here destroying their connection with the spirit, with the source, okay? So let me tell you this, okay? That's what I mean by that Google Fiber, that LAN cable connection, okay? Not literally just that connection right in your house, okay? Because we know that that's not reliable, but God is reliable, okay? So there's people out here that have already lost their land cable connection. There's people out here that have already lost their Google Fiber connection. There's people out here that have already lost a strong connection to the Spirit and the Source. They're on that one bar connection. They're on that SOS connection. They're on that airplane mode connection, okay? But there's people out here that have not lost that connection, okay? There's people out here that still got that land cable connection. They ain't got all these bodies, okay? They ain't got 100 bodies, okay? They got less than 5 bodies, okay? There's people out here with less than 3 bodies, okay? Shout out to those people. There's people out here that still got their V car. Shout out to those people, okay? There's people out here that are not over 10 bodies, okay? Shout out to those people, okay? But I'm telling you right now, the reality is a lot of people out here might have been sleeping around, okay? A lot of people out here want to go party and want to go sleep with everything that walks and talks, okay? So at the end of the day, you got to figure out where you want to be at. You want to be a person out here that's retaining your LAN cable connection? You want to still have your Google Fiber connection? Okay, because that's what's on the line right here. Giving into the temptations and giving into all this lust all the time. That's what's on the line here. Your Google Fiber connection, your LAN cable connection with the Spirit, with the soul. That's what's on the line here, okay? And people don't even want to talk about it, but then let's talk about it because that's what's on the line here. The Spirit and the soul connection, okay? If you're not out here sleeping around, don't start sleeping around. If you're not out here giving into temptations, don't start giving into temptations. If you're not out here lying, gossiping, stealing, and causing all this deceit, then don't start now, okay? If you're a person that's out here that you don't have a problem with drinking, you don't have a problem with smoking, okay, then don't start, okay? That's my advice to you, okay? So if you're a person out here, right, that actually has control over their drink, you have a drink every now and then, okay? Because although I'm not engaged in any of these things, I'm gonna be realistic. There's some people out here that may have a drink every now and then, may have a smoke every now and then. If you're a person that's in control in that, stay in control of that, okay? Don't let it have control over you and cause you to do something that doesn't make any sense, okay? Don't let it have control over you and cause you to do something that you normally wouldn't do. Don't let the temptations have control over you and let them cause you to do something you normally wouldn't do, okay? Don't let that happen, okay? You need to have that self-control, and you need to have control over that lust especially, okay? Because that lust is very powerful at the end of the day, okay? And once again, let me reiterate, I'm not talking about you living your daily life and you just handling certain business. Like if you got to pay bills and you're talking to a woman, that is not what I'm talking about at all, okay? That is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about when there's intention behind it, okay? You know you're going to a gathering, okay? You know there's going to be women there, okay? You know what the vibes are already going to be, okay? You need to, you know what I'm saying, have some self-control. Me personally, you going to have to catch me. I'm not even going to be there, but there's going to be people that are going to be there, okay? So if you're a person that's going to be there at those events, right, and you're going to be around these women, okay, and you don't know what their intentions are, at the end of the day, you need to have some self-control, okay? You need to be aware that, hey, you have a goal. You need to be aware. You need to have some self-control and be like, hey, I have a goal. Once again, you need to be aware, have some self-control and be like, hey, I have a goal, okay? Whatever that goal is, whatever that mission is, you need to stay true to it. And one of the things that's going to help you stay true to it is not giving into lust, okay? Not giving into the lust was going to subtract from your plus, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's easy. It's easy to go out here to these parties, having a couple of drinks, don't think, good, get with a woman, talk nice, sleep with her, and then, hey, it's just another day. It's just another day. There's people that do it like it's clockwork. There's people that do it willy-nilly, and it's easy for them, okay? But no, that's not advisable. You do not want to be out here sleeping around with all these people because there's already a lot of issues medically with that, right? But then there's a lot of issues spiritually that can come up when you're out here just fornicating and sleeping with all these people, okay? You don't know where that person's been, okay? You don't know where that person's head is at, okay? You don't know what this person is doing on their day-to-day, okay? You don't know if that person is just sleeping with you and then the next day there's another man they're gonna go say, hey, okay? You don't know what that person's doing on their day-to-day. You don't know if that person's just sleeping with you and then the next day they have another man they're going to go say, hey, okay? You don't know what that person is doing on their day-to-day. You don't know what that person is doing. They're going to sleep with you, and the next day she's going to have another man and say, hey, okay? You don't know what people are out here doing, but you know what you're doing, okay? So you need to have that self-control and that control over your lust so you're just not out here subtracting from your plus, okay? Because the last thing you need to do is you're focused on a goal. You're focused on a mission, okay? You know, you realize what your purpose is and why you're here, okay? And you're focused, right? And now you're out here sleeping around, okay? So now you got a child on the way. Now that's taken away from your purpose. Now you have a woman that wants attention, okay? But you can't give it because you're on a mission, okay? But you may be too late. So now she's taken away from your goal. She's taken away from your mission, okay? She's taken away from the reason you were even put here, okay? And You don't have time for that, okay? So let me get back into it, because there's some people out there that have that struggle, right? There's people out there that don't realize what their purpose is, okay? But there's people out there that are still trying to figure it out, like, hey, I was put here for a reason. I'm sure, that I just don't understand. Like, I have money, I have this, but something's just still ain't right, okay? That's because there's something that's off in their life that they need to understand, that they need to get it together so they can understand their actual purpose, and they will start to be able to feel fulfilled, okay? Money ain't gonna do it for you, okay? Not to say money's a bad thing. Money's great, okay? Money can help you, take care of certain things so you have less stresses in your life, 100%. But money's not everything, okay? There's people who live by money, okay? Well, that's unfortunate. There's people who live by materialism. Well, that's unfortunate. There's people that live by those things, but that's not the end all be all. The thing that's really going to get you there is once you've accumulated something that's consistent monetarily, right? Once you have whatever certain material things that you want, okay, you have to be aware that's not going to do it for you. But now you have time to find your purpose. So use that time wisely to find your purpose. Find something you're actually passionate about. Find something that you can actually give some time to. And then that's what you go do, okay? And that's going to bring you the fruits. That's going to bring you fulfillment at the end of the day, whether or not you make money, whether or not you make whatever it is, material things, because at the end of the day, it's something that actually brings you joy. It's something that actually brings you value, okay? That's what you need to do. And you need to find your purpose, okay? The people out here that are still chasing money, the people out here that are still chasing materialism, those people at the end of the day, they haven't found their purpose yet, okay? They have not found their purpose yet, and that's okay. That's okay, because at the end of the day, it takes time, a different time for everybody to figure out where they're at. Some people's purpose may be to accumulate a lot of money, and maybe to accumulate a lot of materialism, okay? And then eventually they realize that, oh, okay, maybe that's the lesson for them, okay? But if you're watching this video, if you're listening to this video, then that means that you all have already understood that the temptations are one of the greatest things in this life that you need to be able to resist, that you need to be able to insist for yourself that, hey, I can't do this, okay? I can't be giving into lust all the time, okay? Does she look good? Yes. Does she have the curvature? Yes. Is she voluptuous? Yes. Does she smell good? Yes. But at the end of the day, I am on a mission, okay? She want attention, I can't give it because I'm on a mission, okay? So that's what it is. At the end of the day, you have to be able to stay focused, okay? You have to be able to realize that, hey, one day I'm not going to be here, okay? And when I'm not here anymore, I would rather have been focused. I would rather have been doing my purpose, okay? I'd rather have been so locked in that when I'm not here anymore, it just is what it is, okay? Because I knew I was doing what I had to do, okay? I wasn't out here sleeping around, okay? I wasn't out here giving into the temptations, okay? I'd rather that than my day comes and then I gotta look back and be like, dang, I was out here sleeping around. I was out here giving into these temptations, okay? I was out here just being around. I had no self-control. I was out here looking like a clown, okay? I would rather that, me personally, right? I'd rather that, knowing I was focused, knowing I was actually locked in, okay, than the alternative, than the latter, okay? But not everybody would rather that, okay? So that's the thing you have to understand, is that it is a choice, okay? Not everybody. Some people would rather have slept with a whole continent at the end of the day, and then when they lights go out, that's all they have to say is, you know what? I slept with so many people and I did all this. Okay, that's some people, okay? Not me. And look, that's why these temptations are important. This lust is important to have some control over, okay? It can make people do things that are not within their character. That's why it's important, okay? These temptations, the lust, can cause people to do things that are not within their character, okay? So if you're watching this, if you're listening, be aware of what your temptations are. Be aware that lust and these temptations can come for anybody, including me. No one is safe from these temptations, and that's what makes them what they are, is that it can come after anybody, okay? It can come after a president. It can come after even the lowest person. It can come after anybody, okay? It can come after even the person that's the most focused. It can come after the dude that's been focused forever, and it comes after them the same, okay? Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe, okay? And that's what make the temptations such a powerful thing, okay? So don't give into the deceit. Don't give into the lying. Don't give into the gossip. Don't give into the stealing. Don't give into the lust, okay? That's all that will subtract from your plus, okay? And once you start to not give into these temptations, abstain, okay, retain, okay, then you will start to see some benefits. Maybe you'll be more clear-headed, okay? You'll be more focused on things you have to do. Not to say that you're not going to have days where, maybe you're feeling down and you're not feeling the most up, because at the end of the day, that's just part of life. But you will be way more consistent, okay, in a certain mentality, in a certain headspace, when you're not out here drinking all the time, when you're not out here smoking all the time, most importantly, when you're not out here lying, gossiping, and lusting all the time, getting all these unnecessary spirits in your body, in your energy that you do not need, okay? Let's talk about it, because a lot of people, they may struggle with mental health, okay? Everybody has their days. I have my days, but let me tell you something. When you actually don't give into the temptations, okay, and you're not out here sleeping around and have all these energies, it's a lot easier to be able to stay focused. It's a lot easier to be able to stay in control of your faculties, because you're focused, okay? You're not out here sleeping around with this woman and that woman, and now you have all these energies within you, and then now, she's bringing drama, then you slept with her, so now she's bringing drama, okay? And now you slept with her too on the other day, so she's bringing drama, and then you got to call her, but you don't remember because you were drinking, so you might have called the one you slept with 3 days ago, but then that don't even make sense because now she's arguing. But it's like, dang, did I sleep with her because I slept with the other one? So now you're out here trying to put the pieces to a puzzle together that don't even exist, okay? That's what ends up happening. So you just need to stay focused, okay? You need to leave the lust alone, okay? And understand that, hey, you have a goal. You have a plan, you have a mission in mind that you need to stay focused on, whether big or small, whatever it is for you. However important that thing is for you is what matters, okay? Maybe your focus is to abstain from the temptation. That's pretty big. Most people can't do that. So do that. Maybe your goal is to not create any broken families, because maybe you came from, some family that got drama and stuff. Maybe you don't want to be sleeping around, so you're not at that risk. That's amazing. Do that. Maybe you have a goal in some business idea that you want to get rolling, okay, but you can't do that because you over here messing with all these women, okay? Well, now's your time to stay focused and, go for that business idea, okay? Maybe you have some game you're playing, some musical idea or something, and now you want to be focused on that, but you can't because you're out here lusting around, you're out here giving into temptations, okay? So stop doing that, okay? Just stop doing that, and now you can have more time and more focus, okay, to do the things you need to do to put yourself in a situation that's desirable for you, okay? So once again, this isn't something that's supposed to be easy. The truth is, most people can't do it. The truth is, there's some people that they've been given into temptation so long that it's just, hey, that's where they're at. But there are people out there, okay, that have not already given into temptations and had children before they were really ready, okay? There's people out there that haven't done these things yet, okay? And you still can make that choice to say, you know what? I'm going to be better. I'm not going to be giving into these temptations so often. I'm not going to be doing these things so much, okay? I'm actually going to be trying to be focused, okay? Maybe you're a person that you want to be in the gym more often, and maybe not just in the gym more often, but you just want to be more consistent with some kind of health plan, okay? This is one of the things that can help you with that, is resisting these temptations, okay? Because now what? You have more time to actually focus on your health. You have more time to actually focus on your wealth, okay? Health is wealth. You have more time to focus on these things now because you don't have time for the temptations. You don't have time to be out here lying, gossiping, engaging in gluttony and lust all the time. That stuff takes time. Let's talk about it. At the end of the day, all this stuff, right? Okay, yeah, you need to resist it. Yes, it's going to have its issues and it's going to have its detriments to you, but let's talk about it. One of the most valuable things you ever have in life is time, okay? Time is what gives things perspective for a lot of people, okay? So it takes your time. And that's very important. Lying takes time. Being deceitful takes time. Engaging in gluttony takes time, okay? Being out here engaged in jealousy takes time. It takes time to be looking at everybody else and somebody else and being like, how are they doing this? I don't understand. How do they have this drive? Whatever it is, that takes time. You ain't got time for that, okay? Engaging in lust, okay? That stuff takes time. You ain't got time for that, okay? Whoever's watching, whoever's listening, you do not have time for that, okay? Let the people who want to do that stuff have time for it. Let them do that. But you, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, you do not have time for that, okay? You do not have time to be out here lying, stealing, engaging in gossip, gluttony, deceit, jealousy, and all those things, and lust. You don't have time for that. You don't have time for that, okay? Lust takes time, okay? Because what? There's gonna be a time where what? You may have however many women. Let's just say it's just 3. You got 3 women you're talking to, okay? You got 3 women you're talking to, okay? Or it's gonna take some time, okay? Because now you're gonna hang out with this woman for what? Let's just say you hang out for 3 hours, okay? Let's just say it's 3 hours, okay? Each woman you hang out for 3 hours. 3 times 3 is 9, okay? That's a total of 9 hours. How many hours are in a day? 24, 25 for some people. Let's go 25 to give you an extra hour, okay? So now let's do just quick math, okay? Let's do 25 minus 9, okay? Well, that's 16 hours left in the day, okay? So now you got 16 hours left in the day, okay? And we didn't even account for your sleep, okay? Let's say you're actually sleeping 8 hours, okay? Now you have 8 other hours left. So you had 9 hours you spent with these 3 women. And then you had 8 other hours you were asleep. Now you have another 8 hours to do what? You can't compete no more. It's over with. You're done. You're cooked. You're done. You don't have time anymore. Your time is gone. Your time is gone. And we didn't even factor in all the other temptations. We didn't factor in lying. We didn't factor in gossiping. We didn't factor in gluttony. We didn't factor in jealousy. We didn't factor in all that. Let's say you be jealous for like an hour. Well, you got 7 hours. Let's say you be lying and gossiping for like 2 hours. Well, now you got 5 hours. Let's say you be engaging in gluttony for another hour. Well, now you got 4. Like you don't got time. You don't have time. Okay, I just did the math real quick. All right, the video cut out. I am grateful for that. Now we have time to recoup. But like I was just saying, you do not have time. I was just doing the math right there, and it even made me realize while I'm over here talking and going on about this is that you really do not have time to be engaging in these temptations, okay? These temptations are very time consuming, okay? Imagine if you're not doing those things, if you're not engaged in the lust, if you're not engaged in the lying, the gluttony, the deceit, the gossip, the jealousy, okay? You will have so much more time for yourself. You will have so much more time to actually focus on the things that can bring your health up, that can bring your wealth up, okay? If you actually do not have time. And I'm glad I actually did some of that math right there, okay? And it was simple, okay? Nothing super crazy, right? But you actually do not have time. You do not have time for some of this stuff. You really don't. And there's people who have, they have time for it, okay? But don't be one of those people. You don't have time for it. You don't have time to be engaged in these temptations. You don't have time to be engaged in the lust. Look how much time it actually takes. Look how much time it actually takes. And I was being generous on some of those numbers there, okay? Because some people they might not even hang out with all 3 of those women in a day. It might just be one, but it might be for like 5 hours though, okay? That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time that's taken away from the things that you could be doing to help yourself, to better yourself. Not only put yourself in a better financial situation, okay? That's not the only thing I'm talking about. Not to only get more material, that's not what I'm talking about. Not just that, but to feed your spirit, to feed your soul, to get to understand your purpose and your goal, okay? To feed your spirit, to feed your soul, to get to understand your purpose and your goal, okay? It takes away time from all of that. So in reality, you really don't have time to be doing that. And once you get rid of those temptations, which is very enticing, that's what makes it so difficult. And that's why some people just can't do it, is because it's very enticing. It's very tempting, okay? It's like that beautiful woman you see. That's what the temptations are. It's like that beautiful woman you see. You see her and you're like, oh my goodness, she was sent from heaven. Like, I just can't imagine anybody else, which is crazy to say, but I'm just saying some people really like that. Like, they just can't imagine anybody else. And now look, because now they're into the temptations, they're into the lust, okay? But it's like that beautiful woman. That's what these temptations will have people thinking, that there's nothing else. And that's just not true at all, okay? That's just not true at all, okay? And reality is you don't have time for that. And once you get rid of all those temptations, you will have time to actually care for yourself. You will have time to care for your spirit and your soul and your health, okay? And accumulate more wealth, okay? Spiritually, physically, and even monetarily, right? If that's what that one of your main goals, okay? You will have more time for that. And that will be a benefit, especially if you do have a family. because now you're bettering yourself. So naturally, you're going to start helping to better your family that's around you, okay? That's why this stuff is important. That's why you need to be focused on this. A lot of people are living somebody else's dream. That's the truth. A lot of people are living somebody else's dream, somebody else's reality, somebody else's goal, somebody else's mission, somebody else's focus, okay? That's the truth. A lot of people are living somebody else's plan. That's what people are doing, okay? But if you start retaining and abstaining from these temptations, okay, not giving into your lust, you will be living in accordance, okay, God's plan, okay? Let's talk about it. God's plan. That's what God's plan is, okay? If you're not giving into these temptations, you're not giving into lust, you're not giving into any of these things, you're feeding your spirit and you're feeding your soul, okay? You're feeding your spirit and you're feeding your soul, okay? So do not give in to these temptations. Don't do it, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's not worth it at the end of the day, okay? It's not worth it at the end of the day. It is not worth it, okay? So resist. Will there be urges? Yes, okay? That's when you have to have that self-control. That's when you have to have that understanding of your spirit and your soul to be like, you can't do it. No, you have to say no. And for people who are still learning, okay, just like me, I'm still learning, right? I have to understand that there's going to come times where the urges are very strong, okay? But for me, my goal is to not go back to doing all those things. So I have to understand, if that's the plan, if that's the goal, if that's the mission, I have to be able to withstand, okay, the quicksand. I got to be able to withstand the quicksand, okay? And the quicksand is the temptations. The quicksand comes down real quick. Have you sinking. And if you let it get you, it's going to get you, okay? But I have to understand I have a plan, so I have to withstand, okay? I have to understand I have a plan, so I have to withstand, okay? But there's people out here that are going to relapse. Let's talk about it. They're going to go back to those temptations. They're going to go back to lust, and they're going to go back to drinking. They're going to go back to smoking, okay? And there's people that are going to relapse, and they're going to stay there. There's going to be people that are going to relapse, and they're going to stay there. There's going to be people that are going to relapse, and they just can't recoup. They can't recover. But there's going to be people out there that get back up, okay? Ding, ding, ding. That's the sound of the bell. Ding, ding, ding. That's the sound of the bell. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Ding, ding, ding. That's the sound of the bell. What are you going to do? Ding, ding, ding. That's the sound of the bell. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, ding, 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 that's the sound of the bell. We're back up, we're back at it, okay? We're bobbing and weaving the temptations. They might hit you with a right hook, get you wobbled a little bit, but ding, 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 you got to get back up. You got to get back up. Some people don't got that, though. Some people, ding, 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 it's over. TKO, it's over. The temptation, the gossip, the lying, the deceit, the gluttony, the lust, the jealousy, that hit him with you know what I'm saying? Hit him with the temptations. Now he's tempted. He ain't even focused on the match. He can't even hear the bell. Ding, 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 that's me though. Okay, I'm back. Okay, temptations, you gonna have to catch me. The temptations are going to have to catch me. The lust is going to have to catch me. Okay, a child is going to have to catch me. Okay, because it's not within the plans right now. It's not happening right now. Okay, I'm telling you, the lust is gonna have to catch me. The child is gonna have to catch me. Okay, because it's just not happening right now. Okay, so for the people out there, you have to get back up. There's going to be times where you may struggle. You may get back into those temptations, but nope. Let that be there, okay? Indulge right there and then get back to it. Get right back to it, okay? Because you have a plan, you have a mission, you have a goal that you need to stay focused on, okay? You have a plan, you have a mission, you have a goal that you need to stay focused on, okay? And it's very easy now with the temptations out there, especially with this phone, okay? And then just the way society is and the way some people want to dress, okay? They want to wear skin-tight clothing and, you know, be very revealing, okay? Look, nope. That's what you got to say. Nope. Ding, ding, ding. Nope. As soon as the temptations and the lust enter the premise, enter your proximity, enter your vicinity, ding, ding, ding. That's what you need to be hearing. Ding, ding, ding. You need to be in fight mode. I don't care. You need to be in fight mode. Ding, ding, ding. You can't let the temptations win. Okay? Because they'll be there. They're going to be there. They're going to be there and ready to return a hit. They're going to be there ready to counterpunch you. And you need to be ready to bob and weave them temptations. I don't even want to touch the temptations. They're going to try to hit me. I don't even want to see it, okay? Because at the end of the day, they're going to be there. So, with that being said, you need to have your plan in mind, your goal in mind, okay? Whatever that goal is, whatever that plan is, you need to understand that some things that can help you reach that goal, okay, especially to help nurture your spirit and your soul, okay, some things that can help you do that is to not give into these temptations that are out here, okay, not give into these temptations that are out here, not give into the lust. which is going to ultimately subtract from your plus, okay? And that is a big one, okay? That is a big one. Given to the less, that subtracts from your plus. With that being said, I hope there's something that you could take from this video and apply it to your life for some positive change. I really do. And with that being said, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.